Most people have heard whispers about a strange little uprising in Tennessee, a moment when ordinary Americans, fresh from defeating tyranny overseas, discovered they had to confront it again on their own streets. It's the kind of story that sounds like folklore. War-hardened veterans, corrupt officials, ballot boxes guarded by armed men, and a small town pushed to the brink. But the Battle of Athens wasn't a myth. It was real, explosive, and one of the most shocking fights for democracy ever to happen on American soil. After World War II ended, hundreds of servicemen returned to McMinn County, Tennessee. They expected to come home to peace, normal life, and a functioning democracy. Instead, they found their local government had rotted from the inside out. Elections were being manipulated, citizens were being beaten and extorted, and the sheriff's department operated more like a criminal gang than a public institution. The veterans had just spent years fighting authoritarianism abroad, so they weren't about to tolerate it in their own backyard. The roots of the corruption stretched back decades. In 1910, Edward Crump became mayor of Memphis and built a political machine that would eventually dominate the entire state. He protected illegal gambling and alcohol operations in exchange for hefty fees, then used that money to buy influence. Judges, sheriffs, politicians, everyone fell under his control. Anyone who opposed him was crushed through harassment, bogus inspections, or outright intimidation. By the 1930s, Crump's influence covered Tennessee like a blanket. In 1936, he backed Paul Cantrell for sheriff of McMinn County. Cantrell campaigned on ending the abusive fee system, where deputies were paid based on how many people they arrested. He promised to take a flat salary instead. Once elected, he immediately abandoned that promise. When the county tried to force him to honor it, he sued, and won, thanks to Crump's connections. Cantrell then pushed the fee system to extremes. Anyone arrested for anything, real or imagined, was charged a hefty fee equivalent to hundreds of dollars today. Deputies would simply declare someone drunk without tests, arrest them, and pocket the money. Cantrell even invented fake job titles for himself to siphon more cash. Anyone who resisted was beaten, jailed, or worse, while judges loyal to Crump ensured no deputy ever faced consequences. This continued for years. The people of McMinn County were furious, but powerless. They hoped elections would fix things, until they discovered those were rigged too. Poll taxes were manipulated so only machine-approved voters knew the deadlines. Dead people voted. Children voted. Absentee ballots appeared in impossible numbers. Anyone who tried to observe the count was beaten and arrested. Federal investigations went nowhere. Crump's influence reached Washington. Then came the breaking point. In 1944, a Navy veteran named Earl Ford returned home and went out to celebrate. Deputies saw a young serviceman with likely savings and decided he was a target. Without warning, they struck him from behind, claimed he was drunk, and when he tried to defend himself, they shot him dead. They planted a knife and fabricated a story, but witnesses contradicted everything. Still, nothing happened. The deputy wasn't even fired. When WWII ended, hundreds of veterans returned home, and the deputies saw them as walking paydays. Veterans were arrested inside bars, at dances, even for drinking milk if a deputy smelled alcohol. One Marine veteran, Bill White, was forced to bribe a deputy just to get gasoline ration stamps. His father explained this was simply how things worked now. As veterans shared their experiences, they realized the corruption was systematic. They began meeting privately, forming tight bonds over shared service and shared injustice. Eventually, they decided they had to act. They contacted the only local businessman willing to oppose the machine, Otto Kennedy, and his tire shop became their headquarters. The veterans organized a GI ticket, a slate of candidates from both parties and all backgrounds. Their message was simple: your vote will be counted as cast. They didn't need to persuade voters, they just needed people to believe voting mattered again. They campaigned relentlessly. Veterans visited every home in the county. They dropped pamphlets from a small airplane. They drove trucks with loudspeakers through town. Slowly, hope returned. People paid their poll taxes and prepared to vote. The machine responded by arresting veterans and confiscating their poll tax receipts so they couldn't vote. Appeals to the governor and attorney general were ignored. Election day arrived, August 1st, 1946. The sheriff's department had only about 30 deputies. The veterans numbered in the hundreds. But Cantrell had anticipated trouble. He brought in over 250 armed men from other counties, prison guards, even deputized inmates. They surrounded the 12 polling locations, intimidating voters and controlling access. Still, crowds formed. Lines wrapped around blocks. Then violence erupted. At one polling place, a deputy assaulted an elderly black voter named Tom Gillespie for insisting on his right to vote. The deputy then shot him. Gillespie survived, but the damage was done. The veterans had promised safety, and the machine had broken that promise. Veteran poll watchers confronted the deputies and were arrested. More veterans arrived, tensions escalated, and soon the veterans at the tire shop captured multiple deputies who had been sent to intimidate them. They tied them up, then later dumped them naked in the woods after whipping them. Meanwhile, deputies at other polling places arrested journalists, destroyed cameras, and shut down voting early. They seized the ballot boxes and took them into the jail, refusing to let anyone observe the count. The veterans returned to headquarters, defeated. They knew the election was being stolen again. Then Marine veteran Bill White stood up and delivered a fiery speech. They had fought tyranny overseas. Were they really going to accept it at home? He told them to go home, get their weapons, and return. They did. Armed with hunting rifles, shotguns, and pistols, they surrounded the jail. They raided the National Guard armory for additional weapons. Civilians supported them, providing keys to nearby buildings so veterans could take positions overlooking the jail. They demanded the ballot boxes. Deputies told them to come and get them. Gunfire erupted. A firefight raged for hours. Civilians overturned police cars for cover. Veterans shot out streetlights. Deputies hid inside the brick jail, returning fire. Some were wounded. The veterans treated injured deputies, even giving blood transfusions, showing they didn't want unnecessary harm. Cantrell and Mansfield escaped in an ambulance, abandoning their men. The veterans escalated. They used dynamite to blow apart the jail's porch. Finally, deputies surrendered with their hands up. The crowd wanted revenge, but the veterans refused to execute anyone. Inside the jail, they found boxes of pre-marked ballots for Cantrell. They retrieved the real ballots and had trusted citizens count them. Every GI candidate had won in a landslide. The corrupt deputies were jailed temporarily, then released, except for the one who shot Gillespie. Cantrell and Mansfield fled town hidden in a hearse. The town prepared for a National Guard response, but none came. Federal investigators arrived, but no one in town said a word. The National Guard armory reported all weapons accounted for. Ammunition records were conveniently non-existent. With no evidence, the investigation collapsed. The GI candidates were sworn in. The remaining officials resigned en masse. The new sheriff arrested 3 veterans immediately to prove they would not become another corrupt machine. Illegal gambling and alcohol rings were shut down. Order returned to McMinn County. Word spread across Tennessee. Other veteran groups began pushing back against machine politics. Within a few years, Crump's statewide political empire collapsed. The Battle of Athens became a symbol of citizens standing together against corruption, proof that when enough people refuse to accept injustice, they can reclaim their democracy. Thank you for watching, and if you would like to help the channel grow, just hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Thank you so much.